Oh, we're back, baby. Money line Monaco. It's a beautiful day in the championship neighborhood. Alex Monaco joining you. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, review goes a long way. If you've been joining us all NBA playoffs, emotional purchases, sure. Yes. Are we cashing though? Absolutely. You are listening to a man that took the New York Knicks plus 610, pending where you shop, to the window and bought some clam chowder with a side of Dunkin' Donuts for the whole cul-de-sac. And today, we are actually going to do a deep dive on the Western Conference Finals. And by deep dive, I mean my predictions on record, couple of 2 cents, overall game one thoughts, couple of props to consider. And we just have to go on record and talk out a chess on chess dance that is Chris Finch, in my humble opinion, that has the coaching advantage. We're talking about the pedigree, the experience, I'm going to just sit here and sort of sell you on some regard, more playoff experience in the last couple of seasons successfully, believe it or not, to the Minnesota Timberwolves, then to the OKC Thunder. We start out on the defensive side because this is a defensive dance. Now, a fun little caveat here is Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander are cousins. I would like to really know, fly on the wall, how much Nickeil Alexander-Walker is helping out the Minnesota Timberwolves. I'm going to say in that cousin little behind-the-scene dance, you got to go advantage to Minnesota on more value, obviously, on the star and the MVP of the NBA than a role player off the bench. Yada, yada on that. These are two top five defenses. These are two top five perimeter three-point defenses. These are two teams that rebound well, although advantage, absolutely, to the Minnesota Timberwolves. But they're two teams that play both ways. And there's actually only 5 clubs in the NBA that are +5 in point differential and more. OKC's number 1 on that list. Minnesota's number 5 on that list. I like to think in terms of the NBA like a college campus, like a cafeteria, back to the old school grade school days. Well, who's the upperclassman in this humble dance? The easy answer is the Minnesota Timberwolves. Let's just call it what it is, baby. This is a pups team in Oklahoma City that you can spin it one of two ways. You can say, oh, there's a big uptick from LeBron and Luka's club and a Steph Curry-less Warriors team than the OKC Thunder. Sure. Well, let me sell you a car you don't need on the lot. The Oklahoma City Thunder go to 7 games with a lackluster first quarter, mind you, where everyone was freaking out in Oklahoma City. 7 games against banged up Denver that was barely even hobbling into the playoffs. Now, the Thunder, obviously, like a lot of us, were surprised to some degree to Denver being able to coach themselves, and that's a shout out to a lot of adults in the room over there. But ultimately, the depth caught up to them. Well, who has a couple more pieces off the bench that are going to be massive in this series? Naz Reid, Dante DiVincenzo. Now, some are saying based off regular season, you might not see as much Naz Reid as you think. I'd push back on that. Former 6th man of the year, a guy that can steal a win in any arena, born in Jersey, dripped in dog, with his three-point ability and sometimes a double-double threat. Look, the rebounding goes to the Minnesota Timberwolves. And if they go big, if they do, and I like to think they will in game one, and by the way, I got the game one numbers in front of you. You should be punching +7.5 at any sports book if you want action on this game, just based off the situation. Just to throw that out there, blind resume, 2003 on, teams going from game 7s that are home favorites into game 1, 29% cover. Home 7 favorites, conference finals off game 7s where they're in the same spot. Is there a hangover? Plus, you got rest advantage towards Minnesota. This is a 6-15, 15-1 spot covering since '03, and the youngest team since the late Bill Walton, shout out Pacific Beach, in the late '70s, and his Blazers team, that would be the youngest team since to win a ring if this Thunder team goes on to win one. I just got to push back on it. I have to push back on it. I mean, for me, I have to look at Minnesota and take them as a two-way threat. And Chris Finch in game one is 7-3 against the spread. Those two caveats, you got to feel like Jalen Williams in lackluster plural outings is going to come out and potentially lay more of a Denver egg than he did in game 7, where he showed up and he did show out and it made a big difference. But come on, man, for goodness sakes, Aaron Gordon, one hamstring. Westbrook just didn't have it. Jokic has been exhausted since last series. Murray battling an illness. MPJ with a shoulder. I mean, I'm not making excuses. I'm selling you on Minnesota because Minnesota is very healthy. And you look at how Caruso sort of did his thing against Jokic. I don't really see anybody on this team stopping Anthony Edwards' ability to get to the cup. I don't see it. You have to not sleep on his ability to also facilitate. If you look at his first half, second half splits, it's second half all day, which shows you Julius Randle, who is the adult in the room, gets you going early, facilitates when necessary. Couple of guys step up, do their role. Rudy's been sensational. And then you let Anthony Edwards come in and close. And I say tit for tat, SGA, Ant-Man, who's the better closer? I'll take Anthony Edwards all day. I was questioning SGA's whole MVP all series long. All series long. Until game 7 when he gave us over his 30 with ease payday. And he did what he did. But this Denver team, bottom 10. This Timberwolves team, top 5. You're going to see it on full display out the gate. Matter of fact, I think first quarter under, as they feel each other out, could be a sensational purchase at a game total of 219. Taking a look at your first quarter here, over under at 55.5. I think 55.5 under for two top 5 defenses on a short turnaround work week for the OKC Thunder. Again, on a feel out quarter. I mean, these two teams either come out humming or they stick to their style. None of them, now OKC gets out in transition, no question, but none of them are uncomfortable in playing half-court humble offense, whereas we've seen a lot of styles contrast in these first couple rounds. These guys, interestingly enough, can play defense for defense off each other. But right now, I have to tell you, the value's on the Minnesota Timberwolves, and they have no fear going to LA, getting a win, clearly going second round without hesitation and wrapping up in a quick series, which I didn't want to have to believe, but a hamstring, and there you are, the Golden State Warriors. So if this Minnesota Timberwolves wins this series, team wins this series, you should not be hard-pressed. You should not be shocked. Now, props-wise, something to think about. I think Anthony Edwards on a combo of over rebounds and assists is something to consider. Getting over around 12.5 when you start to get comfortable on player combos. And it's an interesting thought because this is a guy that goes out and gets you 10 rebounds sometimes. And so for 12.5 and even money plus 100, it's 100 to win 100, 10 to win 10 type spiel. I mean, this could be a 6-6 evening, could be an 8-6 evening, which would clear it. Or he goes out and he gets you 10, 11, 12 rebounds. This Chet Holmgren, I heart rebounding, 10 boards a pop. This is not something to really hang your hat on. I've said this all along, and this Caruso gassing up. I mean, this guy's been a journeyman for a reason. He's playing above the rim. He's playing above the Jackie Moon headband. I just put a caveat on it like this because I do want to get this out here in time. If Julius Randle plays like Julius Randle has played in this playoff run, they will win this series. If he slips back to old habits, die hard, Knicks end of the run, selfish, dribble out the shot clock, try to get his mode, which I think he's graduated from, quite frankly, kudos to Finch and his staff, You got something to be really scared about. And again, you got to remind yourself, last thought. SGA and the boys are plus 1,000 in point differential. They don't play close games. They're not used to close games. They don't play them, and they're young. You got to think there's been a few instances in last year and this year where Anthony Edwards has taken off and taken flight and taken numbers from everybody that he's gone against in the postseason. I'm telling you, they got a clutch element here as we're on our way out of an unbelievable team that has all the intangibles to be a finals club. So if you are potentially on a fence about which team you want to go with, I'm telling you, plus 295. It's gone down a little. It was plus 310 most of this week, or most of these couple days leading up. I mean, it's got to be considered. Minnesota Timberwolves at 3-1 pretty much at the moment, plus 295 to win the series. I'm telling you, they're splitting in OKC. It's a matter of game 1 or game 2. And if you're going by the numbers at game 1, off of the game 7 trend I gave you at the top of the show, oh, baby, we're cashing big. Appreciate the subscribe, rate, review. Goes a long way. Hug your mothers. Enjoy it, baby. I'm at the Garden tomorrow night in person. Hi, how are you? Ta-ta real smooth.